Good afternoon, everyone. I see that Joe Brenner has joined, so I was waiting to see him come on in. And so we have, I think, got most everybody here. If they don't, I'm sure they can pop in. Welcome to bargaining for the 2021 calendar year for SEIU. We appreciate all of you taking the time to be here. I'm asking that you all mute your mics if you're not speaking, so that we don't have a lot of background. There's about 45 people that are possibly coming onto this call. So we'd like to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak and that everybody can be heard. Okay? So with that being said, it's kind of a large group to introduce ourselves, but I will give it a shot for myself. I am Vicki Evans-Prey. I am the Director of Employee and Labor Relations and the Chief Negotiator here for the School District of Palm Beach County. We have on the call with us, let me just kind of go through who all's here for the district. We have Allison Monbleu, who is the Director of Food Service. We have Crystal Washington, who's General Manager of Transportation. Darnice Marsh, who works with me in Employee and Labor Relations. As I'm going through, Kevin McCormick, Director of ESE. Lori Dornbush. Lori, I'm sorry, I think you're the General Manager for Food Service. Something like that.
Site-based operations.
Site-based operations. We have Lori MJ Steele, who works with our early childhood. Magdalena Prieto is also with School Food Service. Mark Mitchell with Compensation. Mark Murray, who's our tech person. Mike Burke, who's our Chief Financial Officer. We also have Shane Searchwell, Director of Transportation. We are certainly honored to have Shantoya Bernard, who's our new Interim General Counsel, who is on the call, and Dr. LaCava, who's the Chief of HR. Dr. Fenoy may drop by around 4 o'clock. He wanted to drop by and say hi to everybody. So I'll turn it over to Joe and let you introduce your team.
Good afternoon, everyone. Everybody knows me, Joseph Brenner, Director of Organizing and Bargaining for the SEIU Florida Public Services Union. Sorry, I didn't catch that. All right. So I'm going to first go to the regular group, and then I'll have supervisory and ECP paraprofessionals close out in introductions. My regular staff. Go ahead. Or I could read you guys off if it'd be easier for you.
Sean and Doris Motley. I'm a maintenance service rep for Palm Beach County School District.
Rhonda Miller. I'm a bus driver for Transportation, Palm Beach County.
Cassandra Joseph. I'm a bus driver at Royal Palm Compound.
Julia Reddick, Safety and Training Customer Call Rep.
I am Robin Khan. I am a lead custodian at Freedom Shores Elementary.
Carrie Alderman, East Transportation, Shop Stewart.
Is that everybody from regular? I think we got a couple more.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
All right, we'll go over to supervisory.
I was going to say Joey Garrett is on his way. He on the road right now, but he should be coming in about 20, 25 minutes.
Great.
He here. I hear him.
Supervisory group. Anybody logged in yet?
Yes, I just told him you were coming.
Yes, Johnny Worthing, the custodial coordinator for the west side, and also I'm assisting with North.
Hey, everybody.
That's Garrett.
You're supposed to introduce yourself.
Garrett Kanai.
And then Anybody, my ECP paras who's yet to announce themselves?
I'm Shola Oglinski with Galaxy Elementary. Happy New
I'm-
Year.
Hi, I'm Nalini Singh with Royal Palm School.
All right. If anybody else from the SEIU team has not announced themselves, I got Ronald Laporte from the SEIU staff also on. I don't know if he's Mike.
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
And Rodrigo Hidalgo, FPSU Union Rep.
All right. Anybody else who comes in or hasn't announced themselves, you can announce yourselves in the chat. Keep in mind that chat is also a public record. Don't say anything that you would not want the public to hear you state, just as the same on this conversation here. So first I want to, just as Shola had referenced, Happy New Year to everybody. I think both parties would much prefer to be doing this in person, in the boardroom or somewhere similar, rather than through this very tricky scenario of online, which is fraught with peril. But obviously, the world we live in right now has transitioned us into having to do this. It's not ideal, but it's kind of the best thing we can do right now to make sure that us and our families can stay safe. So number one, thanks for the district to having the meeting today. I think Vicki and I spoke very briefly a couple weeks ago during the holidays about getting the committees back together. Vicki, as I told my committee, proffered the board's direction to extend a proposal of a 3.5% across the board increase to our bargaining units. My team has had a couple different meetings, and we're here to discuss with the district. We've got just a couple of so we have a wage, I'd say counter. It's pretty close to your offer though, from the union for all 3 units, and as well as some other items that we had been scheduled to reopen, some discussions that we had prior to the world that we currently live in, around vacation accrual and a BenCore benefit. And also wanted to call attention to a proposal on Article 10 around custodial supplements, as well as what is Article 11.3 in the regular and supervisory, as well as Article 9. I'm sorry, excuse me, different article. Got my tabs mixed up. Yeah, 9.2 in the ECP paras around working temporary duty in a higher classification. So, rather than belabor the point, I'll say that, we recognize the board. I don't think there's any board members on here today. The superintendent might be on. We recognize that the board is making an offer of 3.5% across the board. In conversations with our committee and in talking to the workers at the shops, we're amenable to that 3.5% increase, with the only caveat, and it's a big one, but it might not be a big one, is that, we want what is in effect a Me Too clause, so that if there's any, I have a screen I can share. I don't know if you've enabled me to share my screen. I hope so. Present. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and present. Give me a second. All right. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
All right. So, as you've probably, when I say Me Too, what we're looking at is some clarification and assurance that the SEIU bargaining unit groups, by agreeing to the district's proposal on 3.5% across the board, retro to 1/1/21, we would want some guarantee from the district that anything that were to further be allotted to any bargaining unit group, such as the CTA, ASOP, or the police, or non-bargaining unit group of non-represented employees, would be granted with an implementation date, same for the FPSU bargaining unit group, as it were for any other groups that potentially get a more than a 3.5%, if and when it could happen. Now, I might be completely in a place of, I don't expect that there'll be anything more of a 3.5% increase to any other bargaining groups. But it's been a concern from some of my folks in terms of us agreeing that we don't want to be the one getting the short end of the stick per se.
Well, I can address this right off the bat. CTA is going to the board tomorrow night.
Okay.
So we're going to find out whether they've ratified it on the 21st, but the board is going to approve a 3.5% increase for the teachers. It's a 1.7% from the state, a 1.8 of local money. So that's what's going to the board on Wednesday night. So there is no option for, unless the board didn't approve it and CTA didn't ratify it, for anything like that to happen. But this would be our guarantee that CTA is not getting anything more than what they've just gotten. We've already signed all the agreements. Again, the board will approve it hopefully tomorrow night.
Okay. So we'll know quite quickly.
Can this is Mike. Can I just clarify something real quick?
Sure.
And I'm with Vicki. This is no problem. We're surprised we're even able, really, with this year, with everything going on. We're happy to be able to try to do the 3.5% for every group. That's our plan. The teacher situation is a little unique, though, because you had the governor with that starting teacher salary raising their starting salary to $47,500, which we're doing. So there's a select group of brand new teachers that are getting a bigger raise, but it's all the governor's money. And I just want us to be clear on that we don't circle back and say, well, wait a minute, the brand new teachers got this huge raise. We want that. So that's just, maybe it doesn't even need to be said, but I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page, that we're talking about the 3.5% for teachers was for basically everyone else that was not a brand new teacher, that the governor didn't take care of. And we did that with a mixture of state and local money. This proposed raise to SEIU is all local money because the governor didn't do anything for anybody but classroom teachers. So as long as we all understand that, I think we're good, but I just wanted to be entirely clear.
No, if I can respond, we are clear on that. The union isn't saying that if one classroom teacher gets more than a 3.5% across the board increase, which obviously is going to happen due to the legislation that passed last year, and the new, basically what amounts to starting teacher pay increases. That's not the direction we're pushing towards. If one person gets it, then if one person gets a 4.3 by very nature of their starting salary having jumped to that amount, that's in excess of 3.5. It's more of a bargaining unit wide. Like, for example, if and when averaging out the compensation for all bargaining unit members, say, similar to police or ASOP, if that is in excess of 3.5, that's the direction we would want to go. And on top of that, so that if I didn't make that clear, I wanted to make that clear now.
All right, I appreciate it, Joe. Thanks. I think we're on the same page, and it shouldn't be an issue for us.
No, it shouldn't be an issue. We'll just have to figure out a way to craft that language because, like Ms. Burke said, that teachers at the very beginning of the salary schedule, pursuant to the Florida law, we had to bring them up from $41,000 up to $47,500, which is a significant increase for those groups of teachers, but that was state mandated and the state paid for it. So I understand the concept behind this. We'll have to, really kind of massage the language to get that to work.
Yeah, I didn't think there'd be a hiccup on the conceptual agreement between the parties. It was more of applying it, want to make sure you're clear on where we're coming from on that. And I don't think there's disagreement on that. That being said, any comments from further from the district around our proposal on wages, Article 9?
No, but let me just, before we go in, I'm sure you've heard me say this before, and I'll say it again for this purposes. The 3.5% is the pot of money that we have for SEIU. If we're going to use it for anything else, whether it's for a supplement here or for this higher classification, that costs money. It comes out of the 3.5%. So we would have to go back and figure out how much that would cost before we could then come back with a salary proposal.
It wouldn't be Palm Beach County Schools bargaining if I didn't hear you say something along the lines of exactly what you had just said. In fact, I would think we went to an entirely different fourth dimension world post-COVID. Maybe I have COVID if you didn't say it. No, we understand that, which is why you'll see our proposals aren't intended, nor do we expect that they would have any sort of additional cost component to the district as far as that's concerned. Now, you're probably sneak peeking into my proposal right here. I would if I was you. Now you're muted. Yeah. But I wanted to kind of call attention because we do have Article 10 as well as a reopener item, and it's been a concern of one of our bargaining groups around the custodial supplements. The issue is not the amount per se of the supplements. The issue is that, for lack of a better word, that when a lead person is designated, it amounts to sort of a unilateral act on the part of the employer to designate it, and it can be just removed by the same token. For some of our folks who get, such designations, pulled out from underneath them, this presents a problem, and it's, lack of a better word, we don't know of the process which a worker could potentially argue, hey, I'm doing the work of these lead people. Why was my supplement removed? And we wanted to add a clause that you'll see there highlighted, quote, such designation shall not be removed for arbitrary or capricious reasons. Thus, obviously, that would put the burden upon the union that such a removal of the designation would have been for arbitrary or capricious reasons. Because we want to protect our folks who are getting those supplements from having them just basically wielded by an administrator without any direction given to the employee why they were removed.
I want to inquire a little bit about this. Is this something that has occurred recently? Because I haven't heard anything about this. So it would be news to me that this is occurring.
From what I'm hearing from our committee members, it has happened both in very recent history and in the past. And it's something that our custodial group has had wanted to touch on for some time. I'll say, quite frankly, that there's a fix that we know, which would be to create a specific classification of a lead person, which obviously would be very much costing a lot more money for the district to implement, to have a higher classification position installed for at least 190 plus schools. That was not the direction we wanted to go in. We wanted to protect those receiving those supplements, to continue to receive them, and if and when there's a direction of the employer a principal or assistant principal to remove that designation, that it couldn't just be for no reason. But we've got some examples.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions around Article 10? I do realize it's not something you've seen before. I don't think we brought it up in the last year's round of bargaining.
Well, I'm assuming that arbitrary and capricious wouldn't be for if there was some kind of disciplinary action or some kind of failure to perform the job functions. There would be documented reasons, maybe not something that required due process of something like that, but it's not just, hey, I don't like Mike Burke today, so he's not getting the lead person supplement.
Exactly.
Okay.
No, I mean, if we're talking, there's absolute rationale that I could see being, failure to perform job functions, attendance issues, et cetera, that somebody might say, hey, the expectations of a lead person are this, you're not meeting those expectations, and they can demonstrate those deficiencies in order to remove those designations. I think it's more of getting the employees know what the lay of the land is, the expectations are, and that they're not going to essentially have this potentially taken from them without such rationale.
Okay, and like I was thinking, I don't recall this having occurred this way. I would imagine we would have heard from the union had this occurred, and we haven't, to my knowledge, had any conversations about it. So I'm a little surprised. But it's certainly something we can discuss.
Joey, I can attest to that.
Go ahead, Ron.
a situation at a Olympic High School where the principal decided to remove the incentive pay from the person that was doing it for 20 years as a lead. And her name is Mary, Miss Mary, I forgot her last name now. And I was told when I tried to file a grievance, and Miss Mary Power told me that was an incentive and they can take the incentive anytime and give it to anybody at any point. So therefore, when I tried to figure out what and look at the contract, yes, it was an incentive that was attached to the custodian position. It was not like a payroll position.
Okay, thank you.
You said that was Olympic Heights?
Olympic High School.
Oh, sorry, Olympic High School. And in Article 11.3, this is similar to a proposal you probably saw back in 2020, before obviously the world changed quite a bit. So it has been our intention to just, to keep hammering on this issue because there's a perception that that's happening, and I think Carrie from transportation can speak to it. That there's instances in which employees, doesn't happen a lot. I'll say that. It's not a pervasive issue, doesn't happen routinely, but an instance in which an employee is assigned to that higher classification, and thus before they trigger the 10th day, which would trigger obviously the compensation going back to the start of that assignment, they're then moved off of it. And sometimes it just means there's, another worker assigned to it, or sometimes it means that they just stop filling the position at all. Carrie in transportation can speak to that happening in transportation most recently.
Hello, I'm Carrie, of course, everybody knows. And what I had reported to the union was one of the coordinators were out on family leave, and I'm a bus driver too, which assists in the office. I help answer the telephones. I do pre-trip, post-trips, and I assist the coordinators. And even in the contract, it states that I assist in whatever they need me to assist them in. So Ms. Brown was out on family leave. She had surgery. And I came in that morning and Miss Philomena Chance told me that I was going to be doing what Miss Brown was doing, which was issuing middays and helping with the field trips. And whatever Miss Brown was assigned to do at that time, I was doing it while she was out. Well, myself mentioned to Miss Phil and the other coordinator, well, I'm filling Miss Brown's position while she's out. You all know on that 10th day, my salary, I get paid according to the contract, anywhere between 3 to 5%, I believe, of the salary in a higher position. Yeah. So when I came back in on that, like I told Joy, that was on the 9th day. When I come back in the next morning, Miss Phil say, Miss Carrie, you no longer have to do the field trips, or you no longer have to administer the middays, none of that. She said, I got it. So along the way, supposedly they had a conversation with either our team leader, and the team leader said no, which probably spoke to Mr. Shane, and Mr. Shane said no. So then I was pulled off that duty at that time. And that happened last year. Miss Brown was out for quite a long time.
Beyond just the 10 days, correct?
Yes, definitely. I believe she was out about almost 2 months.
I understand the concern. I'm not sure this fixes that, because it seems like what you're telling me is that they're playing with the numbers. So on the 9th day, they take you off and put somebody else on it. Now they're just going to take you off on day 6 if we move it to 7. So I'm not sure this fixes, if that, what you're saying is occurring, it doesn't fix it. So we need to have some other language that would fix something like that. So I'm not sure that this achieves what you would like it to achieve. I know this has been an issue for the union. And the other concern I have with the ECP paras is one of the issues we've had in the past is that the higher job classification, when it came to a grievance, what they wanted was not within your bargaining unit. It was what the teacher salary was, which we can't do. So I think we need to have some further conversations and kind of flesh this out a little bit more about what it is that you're looking to achieve and how we can best do it. Just changing from 10 to 7 is not necessarily going to fix it. It just means that you'll only be doing that job for 6 days rather than 9 under, Miss Walker Alderman's scenario.
Which is why, I don't disagree with you that I don't disagree with you that this doesn't fix the problem. I think the fix on our end, and you'll probably strongly disagree with what I'm about to say, which I would expect, would be to anytime any worker is temporarily assigned to a higher classification, they receive that pay immediately. Though that's our sort of olive branch, effectively stating that, look, we know that we're not going to change the system immediately in one day to go from 10 days to 1. It's more of us trying to whittle away at that amount and make it administratively burdensome for the administration to funnel people 6 days, 7 days here, 7 days here, 7 days here. So it becomes more of a pain for the district, or not the district per se, but the manager making the change in order to keep throwing people around that way. I'm agreeing with you that going to the 7 does not fix the issue. The union would want to have a deeper conversation around what it means to fix the issue. So we would love to continue that conversation and figure out what best captures the enhanced duties being done by our people outside of their current classification, whether that's in a CTA bargaining unit position or an SEIU bargaining unit position, recognizing that many of our supervisory folks who are working in a higher classification automatically, if they're doing supervisory duties, any duties higher than them are out of their bargaining unit.
And I understand. My other concern is, if somebody's out for we've talked about this before, if somebody's out for a week because they have some kind of illness or whatever, particularly in these day and time, it's usually 10 days, some kind of COVID leave where they have to be out for 10 to 14 days. We can't hire a temp to cover that work. So we would spread it out amongst other employees. It's happening in my own department. It happens across the district with everyone who is assigned to do things that they don't normally do in a pinch. I think we need to have a conversation because the contract says when they're removed from their job duties. So in that respect, this only applies if you're no longer doing anything that you would normally do and you are doing solely the higher classification. And I think the union membership would need to know that so that if in the case Ms. Walker Alderman situated, let's say if I'm going to do the field trips, I'll take care of the field trips, but you're going to take care of this somebody else is going to take care of something else, and somebody else is going to take care of something else. So we're splitting, let's say, Joe's job up into 6 different people. This doesn't apply at all, no matter how many days they're doing it.
We're not disputing you on that. No, we're not disputing you. I get this all the time at cities, other, private sector employers as well, where just because you do one item as part of exactly what you're talking about, somebody's out for a week or 2 weeks with the flu or COVID now, obviously, somebody does one portion of the job, that does not trigger, you're correct in that, it doesn't trigger being removed from your job duties. So I think there's going to be a clarification there's always been a clarification from our perspective of when you're doing your job duties and you're basically filling in a different classification, and both sides recognize you're filling in. That's typically widely known, in a place like transportation or in the ECP units. It's making sure that removal isn't done in a way that like what Carrie referenced, everybody knew she was working in the higher classification, and what she perceived as, ninth day, today's your last day, because I don't want to have to justify in my budget that the 10th day is coming.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it some more when we talk it.
Okay.
Excuse me, Joey.
Go for it, Rhonda.
This is Rhonda. I remember when we had this conversation at our last bargaining meeting, or our last time. We said that the person that would pull her out of her classification, there was a form that they needed to fill out, or they were supposed to email and CC other people in immediately when they were told that person to be pulled out of their classification. Now, what Ms. Philomena should have done was, when she told Carrie, and what Carrie, I'll just go with management, she should have CC'd her supervisor that Carrie was going to be fulfilling those duties, because she was totally being a coordinator. She was totally out of driver 2 category once she started doing those field trips and middays. That's totally coordinator activity. So that day that she was told by Ms. Chance should have emailed someone else higher in management and CC'd others in, and that's what we had agreed upon the last time. So why she did not do that this time is beyond me, because that was something that we agreed upon. You're muted, Vicky.
Oh, sorry, Joe, you're sharing your screen.
Oh.
Sorry about that. I saw Joe multitasking. I was afraid of what he was going to be searching for.
No, nothing inappropriate. My quick question on this is referencing what Rhonda said about this, about the form. We had talked about, that was sort of where the union was coming for, trying to figure out, to make the clarity of management knows so-and-so is defined as reaching up into a different classification, right? The union knows by virtue of the form, there's no disputing, right? And now if that's being done in a way that shows, boom, up to this new classification, great. And it's just, we want to try to figure out a way that captures that, movement. And I think that's something that in our last proposal, we wanted to see happen.
And I understand, as we talk about this, that there's been things that kind of disappeared. Because if you recall, when we were negotiating last time, we were right up against everything shutting down. So we did kind of push everything through. We pushed things off. The full intent of some of these agreements that we said, well, we're going to talk about this, we're going to look into this. We had every intention of doing that because we thought we'd be back at work, everybody being able to be together in a month or two. We never considered that 11 months later here, or 12 months later, we're still in this situation that we are, so that we can't have bargaining with 45 people in a room because it's just not safe. So there are some things that, and I don't want anybody to think that we're just kicking it down the road to kick it down the road. We had every intent to go further into these discussions and look into information to get back to you. And the world turned upside down on us and hasn't righted itself just yet.
I'm not accusing you of doing that, right? I don't think I'll say this, I don't think any of our committee members are doing that either. We recognize the hardship this has imposed upon, both our bargaining unit members, some of whom are able to, stay safe and isolated, some of whom it's impossible to stay safe and isolated. We also recognize management has the same problem too. Y'all living in the same world we are. So I think from the bargaining committee's perspective, I think there's an interest on our end. Like, I don't want to sit here and bring proposals year after year after year after year, though I do recognize there's 45, maybe 50 of us that are normally able to kind of hash this out over a period of 2 or 3 or 4 months. in person and share our experience of what's going on at my school, what's going on at my workplace, and flush through it, that has been lost by this. So you're not going to hear the union like hem and hawing that administration's not doing its job. That's not where we're coming from. We're trying to figure out where our folks are getting sort of, I wouldn't say with management's agreement, getting railroaded or perception that they're getting railroaded in terms of some of these fringe benefits that they believe they're due. We want to make sure that stops, and I think that I take the administration on its word where we want to work through this, and I think that I'll say that even if you told me, Vicki, that you're not interested in working through this, I would still bring up the proposals. We're still going to keep hammering on this issue, and in a different world, we'd be able to potentially talk to the board members or whatever. That's not where we're talking about right now. We're trying to figure out what's the best fix for all these issues. These are hot button issues, and we don't take the lack of fixing these in a post-COVID or current COVID world as an abdication of your responsibility. So I want you to know that.
I appreciate that. So let's move on to what your next proposal is. I see there's something more here beyond 11.3.
Yeah, I know this is more of a department issue, and maybe it's a conversation that you and I would have. I know, but we've sort of fixed some of this shuttle run issue with our previous conversations in bargaining. I know the shuttle run right now, we've got one of our transportation drivers currently doing the shuttle run, right? And I think there's supposed to be two, but it's effectively just her. And we have another qualified person that is effectively being frozen out of it, excuse me. And, we wanted to bring it to your attention for redress. Whether that could be a conversation and a meeting of the parties in a department style meeting, that's fine with me as well. I just know I wanted to bring it up.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I know the Bencor benefits is something we're still interested in. It's been very difficult to get in touch with the individual we were trying to get in touch with Bencor, and determining whether we could legally do that, whether it was something that financially we were able to do. So we're still exploring that option. The Washington National benefit is something that I know ASAP has asked about, SEIU is asking about it. So I sent out an email because I just found out about this today to find out, is this something that we're able to do? So that's something that, I think we can discuss outside of bargaining. Those are things that we could easily do with an MOU, particularly since I know CTA has asked for Washington National as a benefit as well. So if they're going to be moving forward, that may or may not happen in April. That can be something that we have further conversations with you in light of what, Diane Howard and Risk Management, Mr. Burke, are able to accomplish and what we're able to do with our systems, if it's even possible.
We're content. I mean, I share that agreement. I know that when ASOP had the conversation with you guys, that it was not in the context of their full bargaining. And I know that I think CTA had gone down the field with this issue 6-8 months ago. It was more of us, if it's an opportunity for other district employees to participate, we wanted to extend the same to our group.
Understood.
Okay, I only got like 5 more pages here, so hold on. Yeah, that's it. That's effectively our proposals. I mean, we're not looking to drag this out months and months and months. I don't think anything of what we've proposed, and of course I'll say that, I'm the union guy, I don't think the union's made any unwieldy proposals. We recognize the difficulty right now faced by the school district administration, and honestly, I don't think Dr. Fenoy is on the line or anything, but the union and all of our bargaining committee members, all of the folks we've heard from, we've talked to on the phone, what have you, we appreciate the work that's been done to keep this school district running, and obviously the wage proposal right now. We don't have a ton of disagreement on it. I will say you don't have unanimous agreement on everything. I don't think I've seen that in a group this big. But we appreciate the work being done by administration and the direction of the board on this.
Well, we appreciate your proposals. this is kind of the position where the district is right now. We have 3.5% that we would like to give you as an across the board increase to all our employees. Now, Mr. Burke can give you his speech about what our budget outlook is for next year. Quite honestly, I know that he and, our finance team would have been much more comfortable with a 0% increase for everybody this year because of what we're looking at for next year. We have, we're funded through sales tax and through property tax. Right now, property tax is holding okay for residential properties. There's a concern about commercial properties on a go-forward basis because companies are closing, people are leaving, they're going to virtual environments. So there may be a slight loss there with commercial properties that we think may occur for part of our funding. The other piece of it is, which is kind of disturbing, is we've lost, and I mean lost not by loss of life, but they're no longer in our system. They've either gone to private schools, home schools, virtual schools. Can you still hear me? You look a little confused for a second.
I think when you said students, it muted, like it was censoring you.
There's a weird spot in the room that I'm in. If I shift like 1 inch into it, my mic cuts out. I can't explain it. I don't know. It's some kind of haunting. But so what we're saying is we've lost, I think, the neighborhood about 7,000 students, which Mr. Burke, please correct me if I'm wrong, but usually is about a $60 million hit to our budget for a year. Now, the state has held us harmless for this year. But as we know how the state has treated us in the past, holding us harmless right now does not mean they will hold us harmless next year. It also does not mean that the money that they've utilized to give the teachers the increase will not be pulled from our budget somewhere else to prop that up, because that is a huge expenditure on the part of the state for our teachers, for their salaries, which we don't fault them, or, that's great that they did that. But what they've done in the past, when they've done something like the Best and Brightest that they had for teachers, was a program that they had for a while. They put it in our budget and said, hey, look, we gave you all this money, and they just pulled it out of another pocket that we had. So there is a deep concern that we're going to be in a world of pain next year. And we've already cut, we've cut budgets in the district offices. We've cut, I think, approximately 10% out. We're looking at making more cuts to the district offices. What we're trying to do is protect jobs. We want to make sure that we have jobs for everybody who's employed with us next year. We want them to be, or this year, we want them to be with us next year. So our proposal is this, and if you look on the calendar invite, we have the actual PDFs of our proposals. Obviously the page where we have the bargaining team members, we need to adjust that and make sure we have everybody's name correctly, and because people have changed from last year. But our proposal is the 3.5% for the wage increase, no other language changes. We have a 1-year deal. Next year, we start back. We have a full successor agreement, and we can hopefully be out of this COVID situation. We'll have a much better understanding of where we are financially. If we're able to come to an agreement today to get this agreement that I've sent to Joe signed off on as a TA, we can have it to the board on February 20th, which means then you're going to, January 20th, January 20th. And in that case, you're going to start seeing that increase in late February, early March. So you'll see the increase, and then you'll see the retro. So you would get it relatively quickly if we're able to do that today. If it can't go to the board on January 20th, then we're looking at the middle of February before we could bring it back again. And every day we delay is another day for our budget to take another hit, to Mike, to convince people that this is really a bad idea, to give people their raises. So what we would like to do is to table the conversations yet again, but to move forward, have a deal today. 3.5% is probably the best raise we've ever given that I can remember. I've been with the district for 18 years now. I don't recall ever having a raise this big in 18 years. This is huge. And in a year where we probably shouldn't be doing that, I think this is a deal that I wouldn't want to see you walk away or delay on. So, Mr. Burke, do you have anything else to add?
No, I mean, Vicki, you captured it. We kind of got a break this year. The state actually was pretty good about protecting us on the enrollment loss. We do have some stimulus monies heading our way for next year, but we're not sure how much the state's going to cut their budget and how that's going to wash out. So there are still concerns about the future. I would recommend that I kind of like the idea of moving quick and just getting this done with all of our employee groups as soon as we can. And then we'll go into next year and we'll face that together. The legislature this year is going to be in session from March through April. The governor is expected to come out with a budget recommendation probably in February. So there is, and there's just a lot of unrest in the country. So whatever we can wrap up and take care of, I'd recommend it, because you never know what the next shoe to fall could be. And the state's definitely got at least about a $2 billion shortfall that they have to deal with for next year. And we're not sure at this point how much they're going to take out of education. They're going to have to take something because we're just such a big portion of their budget. So I don't think there's any way we completely escape this. So I agree. This is, we've been doing basically 3% deals for all of our employees the last 5 years. It's actually been a pretty good stretch compared to what we went through with the Great Recession. And I'm pleased we're able to do that for all employees again this year and actually do a little bit better with the 3.5. So, I think you said it. I think we need to really seriously consider just getting this done. And if we can, figure it out here, we could, like you said, get it on the agenda for the board next week.
Yeah, so when would you want, because I need to have a conversation with my committee. I understand the perspective what you're trying to do. I looked through my email. I don't have a proposal from you.
It's attached to the calendar invitation.
Okay.
And I wanted to add, Mr. Brenner, if you could email me your proposal. I tried to capture everything, but just so that I have it in writing, please.
Is
Thank
that
you.
Ms. Marsh speaking?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
If you would like to have, I think Darnice has gotten pretty skilled, and I'm hoping she can do that in this environment of being able to break the rooms down into caucus rooms. If that's something you'd like to do, we can certainly do that.
We would. I think we want to have a conversation, best use our time here.
Okay. Darnice, do you have the authority to do that, or do I need to do that?
I think you can transfer it to me. If not, yeah, you'll have to do it because I can't get it.
Well, I think I see the breakout rooms. Let me see if I can do this. Hold on. Okay, just bear with me a moment, because it shuffled people and put them in rooms, and we have different people in all sorts of rooms. I have some people who are on private calls, and I'm not sure who they are, but I will put them in your room, Joe. And if they're not supposed to be in there, you can just kick them out.
All right. That'll work for me. And Ms. Marsh, I'm sending you the proposals right now electronically.
Thank you so much.
I see that Mr. Fenoy, Dr. Fenoy, is on the call if he'd like to say something, if he's still there. Maybe not. Okay. Okay, one more second. I think I might have it. All right, almost there. I can break you out and then I'll try and figure out. Right now I have your group, Joe, you have your group in one room. I have the district folks in two different rooms, so I'll try and fix that, but I'll let you guys go into your own room.
I think you forgot Mr. Johnny.
I did get him. Let me see. He should be in the first. Okay, wait. Let me see if I can shrink this. Okay, there we go. That might help. Oops, I made it too small. So Miss Bell on the call still? You should be in break. You're assigned to breakout room 1, but you haven't moved in there.
Oh,
there
there
she
she goes.
goes. There she goes. And Mr. Marshall. Had a couple people. Mr. Marshall, you'll need to move to breakout room 1 because if I remove you, then I won't be able to put you back in the meeting.
This is part of the phone break, the private caller also, so whichever room is your main room, it should remain right there.
Okay, so you're on a private call as well?
That is the phone break where the public can listen in. That's what your
Okay,
private
thank
call.
you.
All
All right. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I couldn't tell. I didn't know who he was from. Okay, I think I've got it. I moved Gonzalo. There's some people that are in the breakout rooms. Can't quite get everybody else. Let me see. Okay, let me see if I can do this a little better. I've got some people in. Okay, let me move you guys into breakout room 2. Okay, Darnice, I can't seem to get certain people into the breakout rooms.
Okay.
Okay. It won't let me move some people. Oh, wait, here. Okay, hold on. I'm moving now. I got this. Took me a while. Sorry, Crystal, Allison, Dr. Fenoy.
It's all good.
Hey, I know how to do it now.
We learn new things every day.
Yes.
All right, so y'all go into the breakout room. I'll be there in just a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to leave Mark here by himself. All right, there you go.
All